Good morning, Ocean Ranger. So nice to see you. Let me wave hello. Huh? Did you get my puns? I'm really excited that you're here today for our program, though. It's one of my favorite programs that we have here at the aquarium for our online aquarium academy, which is going to be a drum roll. It's going to be on sharks and teeth. So we're going to be getting a closer look at sharks and even more specifically a closer look at different types of teeth that sharks have out in the oceans. So if during this program, if you do have any questions, any observations you want to share, any sharks that you want to share with me, any fun shark facts, you're definitely able to do that. We do have our live text line, and that's going to be at the number right on over here. That's going to be 562-286-1838. So I am definitely not alone in the studio today. We have Dana on the computer. She's waving hello. I can see her hand sticking up. She's going to be controlling all the stuff going on behind us, sharing all these shark pictures with us. And the person who's going to be receiving your questions and passing them along is going to be Sarah. So you can tell Sarah hello. Hopefully she's having a good day. You can ask her what she's going to have for lunch because we have lunch after this. But if you are watching this program any other day that isn't August 11th, from around 11 to 11:30, you're more than welcome to still send in your observations, your questions, anything like that. But instead of using this number right on over here, you can feel free to send those emails to this email line that's going to be live at lbaop.org. But for today, if you're watching during the program, you want to be using this number to text in, and you want to make sure you are having you do have permission as well, because data charges may apply. But let's go ahead and get started with our shark class. So the very first place we're going to go to is somewhere here at the aquarium. And we're going to start off by making some observations. We're going to be visiting our shark lagoon. Ooh, so here we go. Let me step off of frame so like that you can get a closer look at our shark lagoon. It's definitely a very active hour that's going on right now too. So if you want, once again, feel free to send in the observations that you're making. This is a live cam that we have as well. So if you're looking at my finger at the corner of your screen right now, you can see, you can always view this camera on explorer.org to see what everyone is up to. And it does look like we have quite a bit of activity going on right now as well. We do have a few different types of species of sharks in here. You may also notice this coral that we have inside of the water. So that tells us that we're looking more at a tropical area right now with these corals inside of here, with these tropical fish. But here we have some of our first sharks looping around. These are our black tip reef sharks. So you'll notice the ends of their tips are black, and we'll get a closer look at that in a little bit. Over here down towards the middle, or other ones in the back, we do have two zebra sharks inside of here. So we have baby and fern. Usually you can tell the difference between baby and fern if you ever come to the aquarium and you're wondering how you can, is if you look at the front of their noses, you'll see a lot more freckles on ferns, while baby looks like she doesn't have freckles. Baby also has tan eyes, while fern has blue eyes, so they can have different eye coloration too. The third type of shark in here is our second type of reef shark. So we have black tip reef sharks, but we also have gray reef sharks. That's a black tip that just swam behind me. Once we get a closer look at these two that are swimming towards me, let's take a look. Ooh, these are the gray reef shark, I believe, is the one above me. No, that's actually a black tip reef shark. So let's keep looking. Let's step off a frame and let's see who spots the gray reef shark first. That is not it. There is kind of an unspoken rule here at the aquarium. Whenever you're trying to talk about an animal, it knows. So it likes to hide away. But let's see. Oh, there we have one of our gray reef sharks. So you'll notice versus those black tip reef sharks that on that top fin, that dorsal fin, and those bottom pectoral fins that have that black coloration that you can see right on over here, those gray reef sharks are actually missing those. But there are a few other animals that we do have here as well. We do have one sea turtle that you can keep your eyes out for. And then we also have a ray inside of here, our largest ray here at the aquarium, which is our Reticulate Whiptail Ray. But in case you see any of those swimming around, they are. Ooh, Dana has helped us out. Our ray is actually right on over here. You can see a part of our ray and then the rest of its tail. But that's just a little bit about some of the sharks that you can observe here in our larger shark viewing pool at the aquarium that once again you can visit whenever you want if you're curious as to what they're doing, if you want to try to spot different sharks as well. But I want to take the opportunity to talk about my favorite shark first that we have here at the aquarium and really just in general out in the ocean, which are our zebra sharks. What observations do you make about these zebra sharks? About their bodies? What colors do you see? So you're definitely going to be able to see that spotted pattern on them. So if you're wondering, why in the world is that called a zebra shark if it looks nothing like a zebra? Super valid question. I had that same thought when I first learned about zebra sharks. The reason why they're called zebra sharks is because when they're first born, they are born with those vertical stripes on them. And you can still see a bit of those vertical stripes on the zebra shark. This is a slightly younger one that we are observing. But as they get older and they grow and those stripes expand, they turn into that spotted pattern all over their body. And these zebra sharks, like I mentioned, we are observing them in Shark Lagoon, a much more tropical place. We already do have leopard sharks down here in Southern California. We actually have some here at the aquarium. They're in our blue cavern exhibit. And those leopard sharks do have more of a blockier pattern on them, but they're also a lot smaller. Oh, here we go. Let me step off a frame. You can get a good look at that leopard shark. Look at that pattern all over it. So it does have that spotted pattern, those larger ones on there too. And this picture makes the leopard shark look really, really big. But the leopard shark is only about 3 feet, which is around the length of my arm, maybe a little bit longer than that. But a lot of the times when we think about sharks, we think that sharks get really, really big, and that's not exactly true. Around 50 to 60% of sharks will get no larger than around 3 to 5 feet, and only a handful will get quite large. That zebra shark that we were looking at will get to be around 7 to 8 feet and weigh a couple hundred pounds. But today, like I said, we are going to be talking about sharks, but we also want to focus on shark teeth. So what do you notice about the zebra shark? Where's its mouth? So if you're saying that its mouth is on the bottom, you're absolutely correct. And mouth placement is going to tell you a lot about where you can find an animal and their diet as well. So if you're ever observing animals, if you're going out scuba diving, if you're snorkeling, or if you visit an aquarium, and you want to learn more about where they live, what they might be eating, where you can find them spending most of their time, mouth placement is one very big way you can do that, but also body shape as well. So this doesn't really look like a traditional shark. Sometimes when we close our eyes when we imagine a shark, its body is definitely a lot more flexible than some of the other sharks that we can observe, like those gray reef and those black tip reef sharks. But let's go back to the mouth before we talk about the body. So if its mouth is on the bottom, we're talking about how its body looks pretty flexible. Where do you think it's spending most of its time? This picture kind of gives it away. They like to spend a lot of their times towards a sandy bottom, and that's because that's where they can find their food. So, before I tell you what they eat exactly, I want to go over to my Explorer camera and we can take a closer look at what a zebra shark jaw would look like. And oh, is this what you were expecting? When I said that it lives on the bottom of the ocean, it's going to be finding its food at that sandy bottom as well. So it's going to be eating things in shells. So let's take a closer look at these teeth. And let me play with this lighting just a little bit, Ocean Rangers. Like that we can get a better look. And look at all these tiny teeth on here. So they're using this to be able to munch down on things with shells. So crustaceans, different little crabs, clams, and they're able to just munch, 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 and be able to get that meatier part out. But you can see those hundreds and hundreds of teeth that they do have, just a very different design from some other sharks because of that diet that we can observe. But let's go back to that zebra shark picture and we can take a look at their bodies as well, like I brought up. We were able to see that jaw that has all those teeth all over its mouth. But let's look at this body. It's very, very flexible. So sharks are actually cartilaginous. So we also have cartilage on different parts of our body. If you touch the tip of your nose, if you wiggle parts of your ears around, that's made out of cartilage. So if I'm telling you that they're made out of cartilage, do you think they lose their teeth really easily? If you're saying yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's kind of like if we had teeth on our ears, on our nose. If we accidentally rub our nose a little bit too hard, those teeth would fall out super, super easily. If we rub against something with our ears, or imagine if your hair got stuck on those teeth that you would have in your ears, they would come out pretty easily and it probably wouldn't be too much fun. But because of that, sharks can actually have rows and rows of teeth. And depending on the shark, you'll be able to take a closer look at that as well. A shark that is a really great example of that, if you're from Southern California and watching this, these sharks are local to our waters. Those are going to be great white sharks. So maybe we can take a look at some of our great white sharks and get a closer look at some of those jaws that they have as well. But you might imagine how a great white shark looks. And we'll see right now in this picture, its mouth is slightly open right on over here. And you can get a good look at some of those teeth that it has. And what other observations do you just make about this shark in general? It's definitely a lot bigger than any of the sharks that we've been observing today so far. These sharks can get to be anywhere from around 15 feet to around the mid 20s. So they are very, very large sharks. And fortunately, their population is doing a lot better down here in Southern California as well. There was a point in time we weren't really seeing too many of them. And that's because things like overfishing, a lot of boat traffic, can get animals to not want to come and explore this area if there's other areas that would be easier for them to access their food. But we are seeing a nice, healthy population of them once again in our waters, which is a really great thing because sharks are often what you call an indicator species. So, wherever habitat you're finding them in, often these sharks are what you call apex predators. So, they're the top of the food chain. So they're going to give you a really good idea as to how healthy that overall habitat would be. And that is because sharks will often eat some of the animals that are weaker, are sick, and be able to monitor those smaller fish populations, sea lion populations, depending on what shark you're observing. And that is a really, really great sign. So these great white sharks being able to be a lot healthier down here in Southern California, where we would find kelp forests, are telling us that our kelp forests are doing better than they possibly were before. But look at those teeth here. And I want to jump back to our Explorer camera and we can take a look at a great white shark tooth versus that zebra shark jaw that we saw a little bit earlier. And let me fix this camera for all of us to be able to take a closer look. Ooh, here we are. And just give me 1 second, Ocean Rangers. And once again, if you do have any questions, want to send in any observations, if you want to tell me your favorite shark, anything like that, definitely feel free to. But here we have one single great white shark tooth. And you can see versus that zebra shark jaw that we were looking at, it definitely is very different. If this is just one tooth, here is my pinky for scale. And you can see on the sides too, it's even slightly serrated. And let me play with this lighting once again. Oh, and there you go. You can see some of those serrations down here. So these great white sharks are definitely going to be eating meatier animals. Sometimes they'll eat seals, sea lions, sometimes bigger fish. And the way that they eat is they'll be taking chunks out of those animals as well. So that's why these teeth are definitely very important to them, and they can lose so many teeth during their entire life. It's actually estimated that some sharks can lose around 30,000 teeth in their entire lifetime. I remember the first time I learned that, I thought that was completely wild, how they're able to lose all those teeth, but that's why they have rows and rows of teeth. I want to pull up another jaw on our Explorer camera. And this is from a blue shark, so not a great white shark, but you can get an idea at those rows and rows of teeth. Let me zoom out for us. And here I have it. So if you want to see how it looks naturally, it's a little bit too big. So I'm actually just going to show you the rows and rows of teeth. You can see the rows right on over here. And let me play with my camera angles a little bit. Ooh, here we go. So you can see these rows right on over here. So it's just like a giant conveyor belt. How if I lose one, if I was a shark, if I lose one, I don't have to worry. I can just get my other one once everything just moves around. And scientists are still learning more about it, but it's speculated that sharks will at least lose one tooth for every meal that they're having. So when you think about that once again, we only lose our teeth once. And if you lose them more than that, then luckily technology and are amazing and they're able to give us fake teeth made of different things. But sharks do have that natural adaptation. Ooh, and it seems like Valeria wanted to share that she came to the aquarium for a field trip and spent the night here. And then when they were feeding some animals, up at our tropical section on that secret third floor that we have here, that she saw a huge stingray as huge as a rug. So I'm so glad that you got to experience that, Valeria. We do have some large rays in that tropical exhibit. We have our southern stingray. We also have a mangrove ray inside of there. So they're definitely very, very large animals. And here we're back at our lagoon. See, wow, I love this. It's like our reticulate whiptail ray. Knew that we were talking about rays, and you can see it moving around. It definitely looks like a giant rug. I do agree. And that reticulate whiptail ray, Valeria, if you got to see it that night, is a little bit bigger than those rays that we do have in that tropical exhibit that we have inside here at the aquarium. And as we are on the topic of rays, I do want to take the opportunity to talk about them because they are super closely related to sharks as well. They are cartilaginous animals too. So if you've been here to the aquarium, you might have had the chance to touch the rays here, and they even feel a little bit slimy. So sharks and rays, closely related, but they still have some differences. So rays can feel slimy, and that's because often they have a mucus coating on them. And here we have this is, I want to say, our mangrove ray, and you can see how smooth it is on there. So imagine here at the aquarium we use a two-finger touch. So imagine if we were touching this with two fingers, you would feel that slimy layer on them because they actually use that to protect themselves. They use it to keep bacteria off of their bodies, and it's actually like a sunscreen to them as well to be able to protect themselves from the sun. Whereas sharks, they have what you call dermal denticles, which is a really fancy term essentially for skin teeth. So sharks have those skin teeth lining their bodies, and that's what allows them to move in such a fluid motion through the water and also be able to swim a lot quieter as well. But let's take a second to just look at our ray. What do you notice? Where is its mouth? So its mouth is on the bottom of its body as well. Oh, here we have one of our all-time favorite pictures. This is our counters, right? And you can see its mouth is on the bottom. It's smiling. It's like, oh yeah, look at me. It's definitely very, very cute. But we'll take a closer look at a ray jaw, and maybe as we walk over to our Explorer camera, you can speculate as to what you think these teeth are gonna look like. Ooh, and here we go. This is what this is looking like over here. So you can see all of these flat teeth that these rays do have. So they're definitely going to be munching on more similar animals like that zebra shark that we were looking at. So just compare the two. So rays are also going to be eating clams and crabs and things like that as they're able to munch down and crack all of those shells open. So you can often, like in our shark lagoon, find these animals living in very similar places and regions. So with that being said, I want to go and ahead and explore some sharks and make some observations of somewhere that's not here at the aquarium in their natural habitats. There are a lot of different cool programs out in the world that will do different things. The program we're going to be looking at is what we call Global Finprint, and we actually work with them here at the aquarium. And Global Finprint is a program where they go out and we'll be able to see what they do. They put cameras out in what you call a bruv. And that's going to be a stick. Then at the end, there's like a bag with food inside of it that would attract the animals. And the reason why they do that is they want to log and study what animals are living in those regions. And sometimes they'll have specific focuses. One very big focus are sharks for them. So, alongside Global Finprint and the people who work there, there's also a lot of community based scientists. So, if you're ever interested, you would be able to volunteer with Global Finprint. We actually do that here at the aquarium as well. And we were able to log a spectacular amount of hours. It was somewhere in the thousands. What they were able to do. It was around the 4,000 mark, actually. 4,000 hours of people volunteering. And what you do is when these sharks swim on by, you watching the live feed, you mark when you see a shark or anything that seems very special, like sometimes sea turtles, depending on the fish, different things like that. And then you're able to share those observations with the scientists at Global Finprint, and they're able to take a closer look at that. So, with that being said, ooh, here we are. We can start to make our observations. So here we have um, a tiger shark that's swimming around. We're specifically looking at the Bahamas right now, so we're just going all over the place today. Free travel is always great. So you can see that tiger shark coloration on there. Here we have another tiger shark, and you can see that bruv that I was talking about and those fish inside of there. Sometimes they are super super successful. Sharks can definitely have a lot of force in those jaws. Oh, here we have a ray that's swimming. So even things like rays, they want to take a closer look at. Ooh, this is a bonnet head shark, and bonnet head sharks are definitely very small and very cute. This is a black tip reef shark, a white spotted eagle ray, a black nose shark, a yellow round ray. Ooh, look at that camouflage. What a good job that round ray is doing. Ooh, a great hammerhead shark, a southern stingray. This one's definitely swimming around, checking out the bag, seeing if it's worth it. Here we have a type of grouper, a very, very large fish. We do have a grouper here at the aquarium as well. They can get to be around 7, 8, 900 pounds. Ooh, here we have a green sea turtle. So you can see all the different notes that Global Finprint's able to make, but especially on these sharks and being able to see what sharks are exploring these areas. It's always very interesting because sometimes too when you're studying these habitats and organizations like Global Finprint do go out, you'll see animals that typically don't live in that area. And that really gives you a sign of how that area has been able to reboot. One really great example of that, our tropical exhibit that we have here at the aquarium, is based off of a real place. It's called a blue corner. And it's what you call a shark sanctuary, which means people haven't been able to fish in that specific area from somewhere around 20 to 30 years at this point in time. And because of that, the shark population has been able to reboot and become really nice and healthy. So healthy that other sharks from different areas that typically wouldn't be living there, really migrating through there, have been able to go and travel through that area in order to find their food because these different animals are going to be following wherever their food goes. Oh, here we have another video that Dana has pulled up for us. This is from Barbados that we are looking at. So you can get a different idea of some of the different sharks that once again are going to be living in these different regions. These are some nurse sharks that we're looking at and some Caribbean reef sharks as well. What's your favorite type of shark? I'm very, very curious. Mine are sharks. I know Sarah's are whale sharks that we'll talk about. Dana's actually. Let's see if Dana wants to share her favorite shark with us. Okay, she likes blue sharks and horn sharks. Ooh, those are really great too. Yeah, there's so many sharks out there, and there's a lot to pick from as well. Ooh, but you can get a really nice look at the bruv in this shot. Ooh, here we have another great hammerhead to observe. And these hammerheads, that hammerhead family comes in all different sizes. Ooh, here we have an octopus, which is really, really cool to be able to see all that camouflage that they're able to do. And sharks don't camouflage like octopus do, but they often do have what you call counter shading. And we'll take a closer look at that and explore that term once we finish observing this video. Yeah, here we have a ray and another sea turtle swimming on around. Yeah, Barracuda swimming all around inside of this video. So yeah, global footprint is definitely very cool to be able to see all of these different things. And you're always able to tune in with what they're doing as well. Sometimes we'll just see the blue ocean because there's not always something swimming around at all times, especially if a shark is trying to get to one area or just an animal in general is just making a step on by. But sometimes you'll go and you'll see absolutely amazing things as these things are going on. And you're going to be seeing that alongside the scientists. Here we have a pretty curious fish about the camera that's just swimming on around. And often these animals do get curious about what this is, and not necessarily just the food as well, because they've never seen these things. So it's kind of like us when we discover something for the very first time, when we're able to see that and we become very curious. Animals can be exactly the same way. Let's see what animals we're observing here. Oh, we have more sharks swimming on by right now. And sometimes too, they don't take too much interest in those brevs because it might be a little bit easier to go ahead and catch some other food for them. But I did mention a term I want to go back to, which was counter shading that we can observe on some different sharks and really just a lot of different animals in general. So let's see what example Dana pulls up for us, anything that she wants, and we can take a closer look. Ooh, so here, I'll give you a minute to think about it. Just think about that word. Think about counter shading. What do you think that may be? It does have to do with the coloration of these sharks. So take a look, the coloration up here versus the coloration that would be down here on their underbelly. So what counter shading is, the top of their bodies are usually going to be dark, while the bottom of their bodies, and as you go down, it's going to be getting a lot lighter. What do you think that could help them with? So let's say that an animal was swimming above this shark, right? And it was looking on down. This darker gray brown that we're looking at on this shark is going to do a lot better at blending in with the darker blues of the ocean. But contrary to that, if an animal was swimming below them and looking up, this white coloration is going to do a really great job of blending in with the sunbeams and the lighter blues and hues of the top. So you're going to find this on animals like sharks, rays, different types of fish. Here we have an eagle race. Let's just take a minute and admire how cute this is. But you can really see that white coloration that I was speaking of over here versus that top browner coloration that would do a lot better at blending in with those darker blues of the ocean once again. So it's a really great adaptation for animals to really be able to thrive and succeed within those habitats. And you can get a good look at that mouth on these rays as well that we do have. Ooh, here we have another really great example of a penguin. So you can see once again that lighter coloration versus that darker coloration that they have on the top of their bodies. So a completely different animal, and this one would be hanging out on a completely different region too. Um, and they still have that adaptation because it's something that can really help animals out when they're out in the ocean. You definitely want to make sure that you are successful as time goes on. So you'll definitely be able to see differences in animals from 1,000 years ago versus how they look today. But that was very, very cool. We'll jump back to our Shark Lagoon as we do wrap up and take some last close looks at some of these animals that we do have. Like I mentioned, in our Shark Lagoon, we are looking at a tropical region, a lot warmer. And those corals that we actually do have in our Shark Lagoon, I'll let you in on a secret. They aren't real, they're artificial. And the sharks don't seem to notice, or the animals in there in general don't seem to notice. And if they do, they don't seem to care. And that's definitely what's important to us, that they're using it in the same ways that they would be using it out there in the ocean. So for them, if you're curious as to what specifically that means, sometimes they'll rest on the coral, but especially sharks like our zebra sharks will actually lay their eggs on this coral. So if you've never heard about sharks laying eggs, you might be totally mind blown right now, but some of them do. And their eggs can actually look like this. So what you'll notice is this stringier casing, they'll will catch on the coral, and then the zebra shark will keep looping around the coral until eventually the egg comes on out. So some sharks do lay eggs exactly like this one. You can see the development of the shark that's occurring within this egg right here. So some of them lay eggs, other ones give live birth, and some of them have egg pouches within them as well. But with that being said, if you do have any questions about that birth that we just briefly went over at the end, any of the sharks I mentioned, any shark teeth, definitely feel free to send those in still at that email that's going to be live@lbaop.org. But I want to say thank you so much for joining us today, Ocean Rangers. You do have another program tomorrow that's going to be all about adaptations, which means who knows what animals you're going to be learning about, because we spoke a little bit about adaptations today with that counter shading and all. But thank you once again for joining us and have a good rest of your day.